Rekam sudah ya, Bu ya? Di itu ya, di cloud ya.
Oke, sip. Ini nggak ada ininya, nggak ada tandanya. Oh, udah oke.
Ini nih, siapa yang record saya apa barusan?
Saya, Bu, barusan.
Pak Arsyad, ke cloud kan
Iya,
Pak Arsyad ya?
panggil. Iya.
Cloud ya, oke. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oke, 1 menit lagi ya. Saya kembalikan host dulu.
Selamat pagi, Pak Ika.
Selamat pagi, Bu Tonya. Good morning.
Apa kabar? Sehat,
Baik.
Pak.
Sehat, Bu.
Good morning, all. Please remind your fellow classmates to attend, not to be late. Thank you so much. Pak Arsyad, Pak Willy udah ada ini kan ya, virtual background-nya?
Sudah, Bu, sudah saya kirim tadi.
Pak Arsyad, punten udah jam 9 lewat 1 menit, mungkin bisa di dulu pembukaan ya, mulai. Pak Willy sudah hadir tadi, Pak Willy?
Sudah, Bu, saya sudah hadir, Bu.
Okay, I think we should start our session today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we have our lecture today, Mr. Willy Bahtiar. He's a lecturer in Communication Study Program in College of Vocational Study, IPB University. So I hope we can learn a lot about how to conduct an interview through effective communication. And I would like to remind you that from this session, you have an assignment to make a summary from the presentation of Mr. Willy. So you need to pay attention in his presentation, and then you should upload your assignment in Evieta. So I have prepared the assignment. You can submit your summary in the Evieta. Should we wait for the students who haven't joined yet, or should we start now, Miss Tonya?
We can start.
Okay,
we can start.
Yeah. Thank you. So, yeah. First, I'd like to introduce our fellow lecturer in Communication Study Program, Mr. Ika Sartika. How are you today, Mr. Ika?
I'm fine.
I hope you are in good health condition, and we are have a blessed day today. Okay, so yeah, before I give the opportunity to Mr. Willy, could you turn on your camera, my fellow students of summer course? We should take a screenshot about for the documentation. Okay. Yeah, prepare your best face. Okay. Okay, allow me to take the screenshot. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Wait. Wait. Okay, page 2. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Page 3. Oh, there are no cameras. Okay, but it's okay. Okay, thank you. I would like to say hi to Mr. Hari Otang Sasmita, our fellow lecturer in Communication Study Program. Good morning, Mr. Otang.
Morning, Arset. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, I think we should start it by giving the time and stage to Mr. Willy Bahtiar, and I hope you can all pay attention in his presentation, and don't forget to make a notes and make a summary from his presentation. Okay.
We can share the Avieta. I'm sorry, for a minute. May I share my screen?
Yeah, please, Ms. Tonya.
Okay. And here on the Avieta, you can see we have the embed video for webinar yesterday. And also we have this portal for you to collect your summary. Yeah, you can just click this one and click submit. I'm sorry, this is the lecturer view. Click at submission and then just put the files, or you can write down here directly and then click save change. Yeah, I think everyone understand now. And also don't forget to fill in your attendance. It will expire on this today, on the day. Yeah, you can see also we have already uploaded the presentation from the explanation of the competition and also the final project. I think everyone understand now, and we can continue with the lecture. Thank you, Mr. Arsyad and Mr. Willy. You can have the floor now.
Thank you, Mrs. Tonya, for the reminder. So let's start it to learn today, because this presentation will be closely related to your final project. Okay, Mr. Willy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arsyad. Okay, can you see on the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ms. Tonya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Dr. Insinyur Wahyu Budi Priyatna, Head of Communication Study Program, College of Vocational Studies, IPB University, Ms. Antonia Rumondang Sinaga, Chief of Organizing Committee, all lecturer and all students as participant. Thank you for the opportunity, and let me introduce myself. I'm Willy Bahtiar, as a lecturer from Communication Study Program, College of Vocational Study, IPB University. Glad to see you today, and I hope we are in the good and healthy conditions. Today, we will discuss about how to conduct an interview through effective communications and relate to your final project. I will start the discuss about the topic. You can see to the slide about how to conduct an interview through effective communication. Before I start the discussion, please keep your attention to the topic because I will give you an assignment. The assignment is to make a summary that you collect on the LMS Aviata before 12 o'clock. If you want to ask about something during the explanations, you can drop your question on the chat. Okay, so let's start. Before we discuss further about interview process that will be carried out the student or by student as a form of final project, we need to make it clear that the interview is not just about asking questions. It's more about dialogical communication. In an interview, the interviewee does not only act as the person who being asked the questions. They will also observe the interviewer, considering about what information should be provided and determine why they have to answer the question being asked. Other thing that is also very important is that we will very likely to meet someone with variety of backgrounds, including religion, culture, social status, and language, which obviously need a different approach. This can only be achieved if we have a good understanding and communication skills. So how should we prepare ourselves to be a good interviewer? That's the main topic. Before we talk to another point on this session, and we will discuss more on the slide. Before we discuss about how to build good interviewing skills, it is necessary to understand there are several situations that might describe the failure of an interview, including first the question go round and round, so interviewee is confused. We often find that an interviewer does not fully understand the topic or material to be explored. So the question given tend to be repeated. This problem will make the interviewee confused and the focus will lose, or sometimes the interviewee will be not comfortable because of that same question. Second, the interviewee is silent. This can be caused by two things. First, the important did not understand the meaning of the question being asked. And secondly, the informant were not willing to answer. The informant focused on providing answer, but not answering what is being asked. This occurred due to the failure of the interviewer to determine the form of the questions. In addition, it is also influenced by the interviewer asked questions, which tend to direct the answers, thus making it difficult for the interviewee to explain with their argument and views. And then the informant feels interrogated, so he or she doesn't give the expected answer. Question that tend to be interrogative will make the interviewee take a defensive attitude. And the last, the interviewer was unable to dig up the required information. Various situations described earlier will ultimately make the interviewer unable to dig up the information needed. That's the point how interview can fail, and we will discuss more about an interview. In the next slide, we will talk about how the interviewer can fail on the interview sessions. The emergence of several problems related to the interview that I mentioned earlier was caused by the interviewer's inability to build effective communications. It's a problem. As an interviewer, we can avoid this point. On the next slide, I will share about communication fundamental. The basic principle of communications, whatever we do is communications, silent is also communications. We always thinking that the communications is only talking. But when we in the silence without realizing our body language will tell some message to the other. For example, some of interviewee attend the meeting while the other participant enthusiastic to discuss the topic. One of the interviewee stay in the corner and looking to the outside of the room. People that looking for that situation will be now and will conclude that the interviewee think about another topic that not into the discussions. And how we start the conversation usually decide the result of communications. The beginning of the conversation is the key to make a good conversation with the other people. And so the way that we deliver the message always affect how the message is received and understood, because everyone has a different way to accept the message from the other people. So if we want to deliver same message, we have to make sure that we'll make a receiver understand about the message. For the essence of communication is about the message received, not the message delivered. It's because we can deliver message with the same point, but not every receiver can understand with the same perceptions. And the last, communication is a two-way process. We have to give as best as we want to receive. Okay, next slide. Okay, the communication fundamental is best for your as an interview. You should do that become a good interview. Okay, effective communications is characterized by a shared understanding, can lead to pleasure, influence attitude, improve good social relations, and ultimately lead to positive action as well. Communication will be effective when it follows several rules, which is the first, communications respect each individual and group who becomes communication target. This requires someone who communicates to understand the situations and conditions, not to think of himself as the one who know best. And second, communicators must be able to put themselves in situation or condition faced by the communicant. Everyone who communicates must be able to listen and be ready to receive any response with a positive attitude. This will be very difficult to do if the communicator cannot be criticize or is not ready to accept critics. Accepting critics is not easy, but the ability to accept any response with a good attitude will have a positive effect on the response. The message must be visually acceptable and clearly audible to the recipients. This is related to the media use. Someone often communicate with individual or groups, but the message cannot be understood because the media or tools used are not appropriate. For example, the sound on the phone is intermittent, or the microphone is buzzing, or the sound on the phone is too weak. Some of these things cause the recipients of the message to have difficult understanding the content of the message. As a result, in addition to the recipient not responding, the sender of the message will not be heard or noticed. For the clarity of the message and does not cause multiple interpretations. The effect is almost similar to the problem of corrupted media. So this section deals with the clarity of the message content itself. For example, if the sender of the message using them that are difficult for the recipients to understand. It will obviously be difficult for the recipients to understand the content of the message, and ultimately lead to no feedback. Likewise, if the sender of the message is not clear in conveying message due to the use of language that is not in accordance with the recipient's background, various interpretation will appear. Eventually, the message content will be distorted and the communication cannot reach its destinations. And last, humble attitude and willing to listen to others. This relates to the character and attitude of each individual. Both the sender and message recipients include in this attitude is the willingness to be humble, respectful, and willing to listen to others. Okay, the next slide. We will talk about effective communication factors. Effective communication is the important topic before we start the interview, because interview is how we can get the specific informations from the interviewee. To do effective communications, we should know about the factor from effective communications. And let's now more about effective communication on a slide. The first factor is credibility. Credibility will affect the interview confidence, the interviewers. To build credibility, we can pay attention to several things such as expertise, trustworthiness and attractiveness, which will be discussed in the technical interview preparations. To active listening ability, interview are not just asking question and listening to answer, but listening to the response given. In addition, the interviewer active role in listening to the answer from the interviewee will open the opportunity to ask further question regarding the answer given in order to obtain more in-depth information. 3, enthusiastic and responsive. Show interest and maintain personal contact to build dialogical communication, thus making the resource person provide all the information needed openly. Last, improvisation. Sometimes it is necessary to make an effort to lighten the mood and submit questions or comment on the response of the interviewee, so that the interview does not seem stiff. Okay, that's the effective communication factor you should know as a basic for do an interview. On the next slide, we will start talk about the interview description before we talk more about interview. Okay, the interview is a question and answer process between two parties, namely the interviewer and the informant, to obtain data, information, or opinions about something. This will, of course, be related to your final project, which is expected to be able to obtain complete data so that it can produce mock-up ideas as a solution to the problem faced by the informant. And then advantage of interview, first, avoiding error and confusion of information or data. And then information or data from interview results complement each other with initial information, and then get complete, accurate, honest, and in-depth informations, and obtain balanced and objective information. Last, explore possible new perspective on an issue. Okay, in this slide, we will talk about type of interview. The first type interview, news interview conducted to find news material. In this situation, who held the interview is a journalist. The journalist hope this interview can get information about some response or confirmation from scientists, placement, and another interviewee about the information that relate to the news. Second, interview with prepared question in advance, the systematic procedure to get information from the interviewee or responding with the situation. That the question will ask step by step with following the sequence that prepared by interviewer, and the answer will record that get standardizations. Third, interview conducted by telephone. This interview type that do the interview by phone and sometimes happen while the urgent situations. During the interview by phone, the interviewer doesn't know about the interviewee feeling. For example, while our news not complete, but tomorrow it must be released. So this interview type will be effective. Okay, for personal interview, this interview purpose is to get the information about a figure or public figure. Interviewer will come to the figure and ask some question to get the opinion or information about something that must be explained more. For this interview type, interviewer have to prepare the problem outline and point of questions. And it is important to get information and opinion that expected by the interviewer. With that preparations, the interviewer can control the conversation and will focus on the topic. 5, written interview. The question will give by the interviewer with the lettering format on the paper to the interviewee or leave it. So the interviewee can read and answer that question by themselves. 6, impromptu or urgent interview. Interview by stop the interviewee directly while the interviewee leave or come to event room. Usually do for the very busy interviewee and feel difficult to find. 7, online interview. Same as another interview, but in these situations, The interview will use virtual media, that is internet. The interviewer can ask by Zoom meeting, email, Facebook, or anything that relate to the internet, and will answer the interviewee. And the last group interview, where a group of journalists interview a person, official, artist, sportsman, and so on. The interviewees sit around the interviewer. They are give question to the interviewee who sit around them. And the interviewee answer the question that the interviewer asked. That's the general interview type you can do for interview and how we can get success for the interview. And we will discuss on the next slide. Okay, this slide, we will talk about factor affecting interview success. If you get to the factor, you will be a good interview and success on all interview session. Factor affecting interview success, which is a good relationship between interviewer and interview subject, interviewer social skills, and guideline for interview question to be compiled together, and tools for recording the result of the interview. Beside that factor, your personality is a key attitude for the interviewer in the one of the basic that should have for an interviewer. And this slide, we will talk about attitude that interviewers should have when conducting interview. When conducting interview, the interviewer must be able to create an atmosphere so that it is not rigid, so that the respondent is willing to answer the question asked. For this reason, the attitude that an interviewer must have are as follows. First, confidence. It means the interviewer feel confidence about their capability for do or finish something. That the confidence feeling read by personnel and themselves, and confidence feeling have an important things while get the decision and can increase the quality of your work. The confidence feeling can realize with positive thinking that you can do it. Second, neutral. That is, the interviewer does not comment, agree, or disagree with the information expressed by the respondent. Because the interviewer's job is to record all informations from the respondent, whether it is pleasant or not. Three, friendly. This means that the interviewer create an atmosphere that is able to attract the interest of the respondent. And four, is fair. This means that the interviewer must be able to treat all respondents equally. The interviewer must remain respectful and courteous to all respondents regardless of the circumstance. And the last, avoid tension. That is, the interviewer must be able to avoid tension, lest the respondent is being judged or tested. If the atmosphere is tense, the respondent has the right to cancel the meeting and ask the interviewer not to write down the result. The interviewer must be able to control the situations and the conversation to be directed. Attitude as an interviewer is the first thing that you should have before do all the steps for interview. You should have a good attitude before. And now I will share about the steps to do an interview. Interview phase in preparations. When conducting interview, interviewer must do preparations, good preparations, well preparations, and first determine the intent or purpose of the interview or interview topic. Before conducting an interview, the first step that must be done is to determine the topic, intent and purpose of the interview, so that the interview is directed and on target. And second, choose and know more about the interviewee. The next step is to determine the resource person according to the topic we previously selected by first identifying the potential resource person with the criteria of who, what he does, how he does it, and what approach must be taken to be able to dig up information from this source. Earlier about the interviewee profile by searching the information through the search engines, for example, Google, or ask to another people around the interviewee who knows a background from interviewee, it will more advantage. When we meet, we can ask some question that made a comfortable situation. And third, or three, determine the information to be collected or recorded. The third step, compiling important points in the hope that the interview conducted can focus on the scope we need. And fourth, compile a list of questions. The list of questions was compiled with the aim of making the interview run smoothly. If the interview is conducted without preparations, what should have been asked might not have been asked during the interview. Thus, the information obtained is also incomplete. And in conducting interview, the instrument used are generally in the form of questionnaire or in-depth interview guides. And last, prepare the equipment. Prepare all the equipment to interview with question list. If in the past, the interviewer have to prepare a recorder, notes, and pen, but now with the technology development, smartphone or handphone that we have can change all that equipment to record notes or make a documentation while the interview sessions. And now during the COVID-19 pandemic, the online interview is familiar for us. And the preparation for this interview session will be simple with the technology like laptop using the applications, for example, Zoom meeting, Google Meet, Skype, and another application. All the steps you must know and follow before you do an interview. After that, you can decide what your interview type, structured interview or not structured interview. Let's know more about the type interview on the next slide. There are two types of interview in general, structured interview and unstructured interview. Structured interview is an interview in which most of the types of questions are predetermined, including the order in which they are asked and the material of the question. In a structured interview, the questions are made in such a way that the respondent is limited in providing answer to a few alternatives. The easiest answer to structured question are yes or no. Some example of structured question are: is your daily nutrition consumed enough? And how long you can finish the bachelor degree? Or how many times you need to plant the seeds until you get the result? And then unstructured interview. An unstructured interview is an interview that is not strictly predetermined regarding the types of questions, the sequence, and the material of the question. Unstructured interview, or also called open-ended questions, also mean questions that are made in such a way and the answer and method of disclosure can vary. The structure interview from the unstructured interview form is rarely used in questionnaires, but is widely used in interview guides. Respondents have the freedom to answer open-ended questions. This is some example of not structured question. What is your opinion about the progress in industry agro 4.0 in Indonesia? Or how your opinion about the commodity agriculture in Indonesia right now? Or why you choose to the business of agriculture sector? You can decide what is your interview type, and after you decide the type of your interview, you can implementations that on the implementation steps that I explain on the next slide. Implementation stage is about interview etiquette. First, say hello. It's a greeting before we start the interview with the interviewee. And second, introduce myself. It's the steps who the interviewer introduce themselves, for example, name, institutions, objective, and etc. And third, state the intent and purpose of the interview. It's to tell the interviewee what your purpose, the key topic on this interview session. Four, ask questions sequentially. It's have to sequentially because it will run on the right way and focus to the topic on the interview session. And five, take note and record the main point of the interview. It will remind us as an interviewer what is the interviewee answer. And the interview by greeting and asking for the willingness of the resource person to be contacted again if there is anything that need to be confirmed or complete. That's the implementation steps that appropriate with the interview ethics. And you as an interviewer has to do that ethics to become a good interviewer. Okay, after all the steps, you can make a result with following the step that I will explain on the next slide. Okay, in the next slide, in the both side, I will about to talk stage or preparation interview result report. And the first, the term or topic of the interview. And the second, the purpose or intent of the interview. And the third, source identity. Fourth, summary of interview content. And the last, describe the information collected through interview. And the next slide, we'll talk about some things to avoid during the interview process. The first, ask questions that are common or have definite answers. And second, asking questions that have the same answer as the previous questions. And third, ask the interviewee to repeat the answer. And fourth, cut off the speaker's conversation. And last, be smarter than the source. Okay, that's the final topic about how to conduct an interview through effective communications. And I want to remind you about an assignment that you should do and collect it on the LMS Aviata before 12. Thank you for your attention to this topic. That's all the topic that I can explain to you, and any questions. Thank you, Mr. Asad.
Thank you, Mr. Willy. Okay, everyone, if you have some questions about this topic that you want to express it, or you want to ask directly to Mr. Willy, you can. We have participant that raise hand. Quintina. Okay.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Arshad. Okay, hello everyone. Hello, Mr. Willy. My name is Quinn, and so here's my question. I love to watch talk shows on YouTube or the actors interview, and on some videos, people give comments about the interview is not natural because it's only the host asking the question and the actors giving the answers, and they think it's not natural because there's no kind of storytelling or the actors telling their answering the question well. And what I want to ask is how to keep the interview natural, but we still can get the information natural. I mean, it's not really scripted, it's not too strict, it's not only about asking the question that is on the script or that is been prepared, but we can still get the information. Do I make myself clear? Oh, thank you, Mr. Willy.
Yeah, thank you, Quintina. I think we get the question. Okay, next, please. Yeah, we will collect the question. Yeah. Thank you, Quintina. And second, please, Konza, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arshad. So, hi, I'm Konza from SV-IPB. I want to ask, how can we overcome the language barrier when we're conducting an interview? Thank you.
Okay, we have two questions here. The other can write down your question in the chat box, and I think we can collect one more. Yeah. Who wants to ask directly to Mr. Willy? Rizky. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, can anyone hear my voice clearly?
Yeah, Rizky.
I'm sorry, I'm turning off the camera because there's something wrong with my laptop. Okay, I'm from Rizky from majoring communication from SV-IPB, group 10. There's a questions I want to ask. How do we gain our confidence during interview? That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rizky. Maybe we can ask Mr. Willy to answer the first question. Or I think some of the questions may be explained by Mr. Willy earlier, but we can ask Mr. Willy to explain it more about the structured and unstructured interview. And I think, yeah, Mr. Willy, are you with us? Okay. Yeah, for the questions, can I ask Quintina and the second Konza to write down in the chat box so we can read it again in case we cannot get the point of the questions clearly. How can we overcome the language barrier? Okay, yeah. Quintina, would you like to write? Yeah, maybe Mr. Willy, you can answer from the question from the Rizky or Konza first. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Arshad, can you have me to the answers, the questions? The question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, guys, I will assist Mr. Willy to answering your questions. I think maybe other lecturer from a communication study program is also here, so they can provide any assistance and answering your questions. So maybe I will help to answer the question from Konza first. Okay, how can we overcome the language barrier when conducting an interview? So a language barrier is the most fundamental problems, that need to be solved to be able to conduct a good interview, because a language barrier is how okay. Before we are able to ask the question or deliver the message or state our intention or purpose to the interviewee, we need to understand how the interview can be able to communicate with some language or by his natural mother tongue. Yeah. So if you need to answer, you need to conduct an interview with someone from other country. In case you are from Philippines and you need to conduct an interview with an Indonesian, I think with technology right now we can make a structured interview. So the questions will be predetermined, and we can prepare an instrument in the form of questionnaire or interview guidelines. So we have the script, how to ask the question properly to the interviewee. So the interviewee will be able to understand what the question is, and then well, it is an advantage because you will conduct an interview in a group, not by yourself, right? So maybe you need to have an interpreter or someone in your groups to translate what do you want to know from the interviewee. So I think with technology we can prepare ourselves to conduct an interview more properly. So is that answering your question, Honza?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Arshad.
Yeah. Mr. Willy, do you want to add an addition from the explanation?
No, Mr. Arshad, but I will try to answer questions from Gresita Siaan and Rizky Ramadini.
Yeah, okay. Please, Mr. Willy.
Okay. Thank you, Gresita, for the questions, and I will try the answer. How can we build a close relationship between the interviewer and the interviewee to become emotionally attached during the interview? I think we start with the heavy conversations and ask about interview conditions and talk about daily activities and more intense while the interview sessions. frequently, period, and intense communication. That's the answer. My answer, Gresita. I'm sorry. I had to expand with English. Okay. I'm sorry, the participants. Okay. And I will try to answer the question for Rizky Ramadini. How do we gain confidence doing interview? I think we can do well prepared and understand about the topic and uh, 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 and to gain confidence during interview. We'll prepare, understand about the topic, and also uh, uh, profile interviewee is we now as good gitu ya. And we're prepared and about topic it's help it's help to confidence for gain confidence to the interview. Okay, Mr. Arsad.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Willie. I will I will put an addition from Mr. Willie's explanation. First, in conducting interview, we need to understood that not every interview is conducted in direct interview. Yeah, so it is according to Gresita's questions. The social media has an instrument to collect data, yeah, with the question, and then the question type, the structured questions can be predetermined, and then it is not able to become emotionally attached between the interview and the interviewer and the interviewee, because the questions need to be answered by the interviewee by themselves, not be asked by the interviewer, right? So it is a kind of instrument that help us in collecting so many data and with many respondents. Yeah, so it is not an in-depth interview. Nah, Mr. Willie's explanations earlier state that the type of interview is divided into a structured interview and then unstructured interview. The unstructured interview is usually used in in-depth interview, and we have to determine the key informants, and then we can ask them directly one by one, or conduct it in a focus group discussion. So the question will be asked in a flow, but we can skip some point of or questions that have already answered by the respondent. But in structured interview, the question is need to be answered one by one and in the directed flow. So the instrument can be distributed in social media, or using, for example, Google Forms, or other instrument like application, survey application, or computer assisted survey. Yeah, like for example, survey CTO maybe. and then we can just give the link, and the respondent or informants can fill in the answer, and then we are able to collect the data. But the thing that we have to put in mind, that if we are conducting a structured interview, so we need to make the question mostly in a form of a closed-ended question. So the answer will be in multiple choice or single choice or just short answer. Don't make the open-ended question in structured interview, because it will be difficult for us to compile the answer and then put an explanation in the report. Yeah. Do I have myself clear for that? Yeah, I think that will answer the question from Quintina as well. Yeah. Okay. Please, Mr. Willie, if you want to answer the other question from AJ, maybe AJ from Central Mindanao University. What is the role of empathy in implementing an in-depth and substantial conversation during the implementation stage of the interview? Yeah, I think Mr. Willie has explained a bit, yeah, but maybe you can describe it more clearly, Mr. Willie, about the empathy. Rich, yeah, in Rich, yeah. Yeah, and I think it is related to the question from Muhammad Yusuf.
Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Arshad.
Thank you.
I will try to answer the question for Muhammad Yusuf Pratama. Does body language important during an interview? Okay, I will try to answer, Mr. Arshad.
Yeah.
Okay, I will try to answer
the
please,
question
for Muhammad Yusuf Pratama. Okay, body language is an important thing based on the research. Body language will be a dominant factor, 68% on the research for the winners communications, and can affect the other people. Okay, it's the answer for to Muhammad Yusuf Pratama. Does body language important during an interview? Okay, Mr. Asad.
Yeah.
And I will try to answer the question, Rafi Fauzan. Can we implement the first 3-minute things while we do the interview? Made a first impressions that good, and let your personality with a good attitude, and introduce yourself and your objective and your goals in the interview. Purpose in 3 minutes, all about is clear and explain. Jadi personality and purpose and first impressions, all about yourself, must explain in clear. Okay, Mr. Arshad.
Yeah, I will help Mr. Willie for the question from Rafi. First, we must agree that Mr. Willie has said earlier, an interview is not just a one-way communication, right? It is a two-way process. So it is kind of different with public speaking. yeah, in principle. So, but yeah, the first 3 minutes is how we build, how we build our credibility as an interviewer. So the interviewee would be able to believe in us, why they should answering our questions, and to make them open to give their arguments or opinions in providing answers. So in the first 3 minutes, Mr. Willie has said we need to make an introductions of ourselves clearly and state our purpose in a good way, so they can understand why we should do this. And then we need to state that we will not take their much time, so they are willing to answer our questions. It is related to and I will try to answer the question from Farah as well, Farah Nabila. How can we make the informant to answer what we ask, so the informant not just go around? Yeah, it is why we need to fully understand the main topic that we need to dig the information from the interviewee, so they will make themselves clear to providing their arguments or opinions and answering the questions properly. So the 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 failure of an interview is can be described in several ways, as Mr. Willie said. One of it is the resource person or informant is being silenced because they don't understand what we are asking, and then maybe they just answering yes or no, or they just make a story from go round and round, but not answering the question because they are not fully understand what the question being asked. Nah, so we need to clarify the question, focus on the topic that we need to dig the information. So it will prevent the situation that makes an interview is fail. Yeah, maybe I hope that can answering your questions, Farah. Yeah, is there any other question that hasn't been answered? You can put it in. Yeah, maybe you one more question, Mr. Willie from Putri. Yeah, I want to ask, I will read the question. I want to ask the point that you mentioned in early slide. The communicators should be able to put themselves in any situations and conditions. In other words, we should be adaptable with it. But how if we feel intimidated of our personal couldn't cope with the situation with the I think it is related to confidence and nervousness in conducting an interview. Yeah, Mr. Willie has said earlier that we shouldn't interrogate the interview, but the situation is a reverse. How if we are feel intimidated by the research person because they are somewhat in higher status than us, or like a minister or a celebrity, so we feel intimidated. How we build ourselves to make confidence and then preventing any nervousness. I think the first is trial, to be adaptable with a conversation with others, and then make a preparation. But please, Mr. Willie, if you have if you can explain more about how to make ourselves out of nervousness. Yeah, Mr. Willy.
Okay, Mr. Asad, I will to try add answer to question Putri Saleha. What's the best strategy we could bet to control it all in how if we feel intimidated or our personal could cope with the situation? Okay, I think we can tell with slowly that we can back to the interview purpose and hope the situation and question not out of the topic. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Willy. So maybe it is the reason, yeah, why we should focus on our topic, what information need to be digging, and how we state, how we ask the question is very it's very important in conducting an interview. Yeah, maybe and the best of all is we need to be make it a habit, yeah, how to conduct a conversation, not just asking questions, yeah, but how to build a good conversation with others. So it will help you to conduct an interview, because yeah, someone has already mentioned indirect interview. Yeah, we need to make it emotionally attached, not just put ourselves as an interviewer and the respondent is the one who giving answer, but we build a two-way process communication. So they will be willing to open themselves in providing answers that we need. Yeah, I think that I hope that will answering your question. So yeah, before we go to our next step, yeah, I think Mr. Willy, we can have a simulations here, yeah, in a role play in conducting an interview. Have you prepared some conditions in an interview, or maybe there are some of you, the students, who wants to play a role in becoming an interviewer or an interviewee? Is there any volunteer who wants to try to be an interviewer? Is there any volunteer? Ansu? Ansu, how about you? Would you like to try?
Oh, I'm confident with that.
Yeah? So I will give you a condition as myself as a farmer. Yeah, I have a family farm and in close by in my home. So you are the interviewer who wants to know about the agricultural practices that I have implemented in my farm. So how would you like to ask about that? Okay.
Could you please wait a minute for thinking?
Yeah. Please, you can have your time. So the purpose is I want you to practice how to start the conversation. Yeah. First, you introduce yourself, and then make an atmosphere and state your purpose, and then you can start to asking one or two questions, just one or two, not too many. Yeah, I just want you to try to open the conversation before an interview. Yeah, are you able to do that, or someone other that want to try as well? You can have your time to think first, and then write your opening or greetings. Yeah, and then we can start the simulation. Okay. Yeah, I will give you 5 minutes. Is that enough for you?
Excuse me, Mr. Arshad, would you be able to repeat the condition of the situation? Sorry.
Yeah, okay, I will repeat the condition. Yeah, my name is Arsyad, and then I have a family farm in which I cultivate my land with my family, and I plant coffee in my farm. Nah, is that enough information for you? And then I want you to try to open the conversation, and then ask one or two questions about my agricultural practice in the family farm. And then Mr. Willy can review it. Yeah. Five minutes. Okay. Just make a paragraph or some sentence in opening the conversation. Yeah, we're not focused on the questions. We are focused on how you open the conversation in conducting an interview. Yeah, is that clear? Yeah. It's just a role play. Don't be nervous. Yeah, I would like to say hi. I in greeting Mr. Wahyu Budi Priyatna as the head of the communication study program. Good morning, Mr. Budi. It is a pleasure in having you here and joining us. Thank you for your presence. Or Mr. Bayu, I think he is he's busy. Yeah. And I would like to welcoming our fellow lecturers in communication study program. Would you like to say a few words, Mr. Otang or Mr. Ika or Mr. Budi? Would you like to say a few words in greetings our participants here? Yeah, maybe no.
I'm still enjoying this presentation, Mr. Arsyad.
Please, Mr. Hotang, would you like to say a few words to our participants here? There are some communication students in as our participants here. Would you like to say hi?
Oh, really? Hello, from communication student. I'm one of the lecturer in communication also, and I like you to enjoy this presentation, and I see when in the chat and in conversation Q&A is a good question and answer also from the lecture from Willie and from Mr. Arshad, and I hope you all guys can more comprehend about how to conduct an interview through effective communication. Good luck.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Otang. Mr. Arsyad,
Yeah.
we as lecturers, we can give the first example for this role play.
Okay.
Maybe from Mr. Otang or me myself.
Okay, Mrs. Tonya, if you are willing to put an
Oh,
example.
you are the farmer.
Yeah, I will be
You are the farmer. Okay.
Yeah.
And I am the student. I am the summer course student. So everyone, we can give an example for the first interview. We should make an opening, some kind of like an opening that we have to introduce ourselves and then tell them what is our objectives, and also we have to make clear about what is our intention, and also what is the outcome or output we are willing to have, and things like that. So maybe to start, hello, Mr. Arsyad. How are you? My name is Tonya, and I am with my colleagues here, with my teammate here. We are here to also express our gratitude that you are willing to be our case study farmers, and thank you for your time. Thank you to give us your time for us between your activities. We are here to maybe ask some questions regarding our final project that we are obliged to from our summer course study program. And we will give you some questions. Also, we will make some interviews, maybe not only today, but also on the days after that, after this one. And I hope you are willing to. And we can arrange the time according to your time also.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we can make the introduction like that, and then we can start asking the question. So we have to be clear to our case study farmer what is our objectives, and also what is the output we are hoping, and things like that. And also, Mr. Arsyad, if I can I suggest that we call some of the communication students?
Yeah, sure.
To give an example.
Yeah, sure. Please, Ms. Tonya. Or is there anyone, Ansu or Quintin, maybe have prepared their the trial?
If I'm not mistaken,
excuse me.
Yeah,
yes?
Mrs. Harris.
I think Queen can do that. I think Queen can do that because she is one of my best English class. So Queen, please show your ability that we have shared or we have practiced before in our classroom. I think Queen can do that, Bu Tonya. I'm sure.
Yes, of course.
Well, thank you very much, Miss.
Yeah.
I miss you.
I miss you too.
Glad to
And
have you
maybe
here,
Queen
Mrs. Ririt.
and Haris. Can I call you Haris?
Yes,
What do you
okay.
prefer to be called?
Ririt or Haris, it's okay, Bu Tonya.
Ririt or Haris, okay, Ririt. Queen and Haris can also doing this role play. Queen as the students and Haris as the case study farmers.
All right, Miss Ririt.
Oh, me? Oh, okay.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
I'm not an
I
expert
think
of
the
a farmer
situations
sport.
can be changed.
It's okay. It's okay. Or maybe as if I'm not mistaken, there's Salwa, Alfrista, and who else? Mr. Willy? The other one?
Rizky Dini.
Okay. Hello, Alfrista, Salwa, Dini.
Yeah.
Can you show your face or your?
Yeah, they are good too in
voice?
English, sebetulnya.
I'm sorry, I'm turning off my camera because there's something on my laptop.
Yeah, it's okay, but you can join us on this role play so the others can gain knowledge.
Okay, sure.
Let's see. Mr. Arsyad as the case study farmer, and then Queen, and also Haris, and
I joined the.
Yes, you are as a student.
Okay, I'm a student.
You are a student, and Queen also the student, and also Alfrista. Salwa, do we have you here? Can you open your mic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Salwa, Alfrista, and Dini. Salwa, Alfrista, Dini, Queen, and Haris as students, and you are interviewing Mr. Arsyad as the case study farmer.
Okay.
Well, you may start.
Yeah, please.
Come on, who first? Queen, you're the first.
Maybe Queen as the team leader, you can start by tell Mr. Arsyad who are you and etc.
Let me try. Okay, so hello, good morning, Mr. Arsyad.
Good morning.
To meet you. Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm in a good condition right now, and I'm very happy today in welcoming you guys in my farm.
Okay, thank you. Thank God you are in a good condition. So let me introduce myself and my team first. My name is Queen from SV-IPB University, and today I'm here with some of my amazing friends. And friends, you can introduce yourself to Mr. Arsyad, please.
Okay, let me introduce myself, Mr. Arsyad. I'm Dini from SV-IPB major in communication.
Hello, let me introduce myself, Mr. Arsyad. My name is Haris Maritasari. I'm from IPB University.
Hello, Mr. Arsyad. My name is Indira Salwamahira, and I'm majoring communication at SV-IPB. And we will ask you some questions.
Yeah, of course, sure.
Okay, Mr. Arsyad, thank you so much for letting us to interview you this time. So we are here today in order to do the interview and the research to complete our final project, which will be explained by my friends. Who wants to explain to Mr. Arsyad about our final project? Maybe someone can
just jump into the chance.
Okay, so Mr. Arsyad, I see you have a very big and beautiful farm here. So is this yours or this is the family farm?
Yeah, actually this is my family's farm. I inherit it from my grandfather, and I cultivate it with my family, with my brother.
I'm sorry, Mr. Willy, can you stop to share so we can see all the, okay, clearly. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. Am I have I answering your question?
Oh, yes. Thank you. And may I know how long have you and your family organizing this farm?
Yeah, I've been cultivating my farm since I was 20. So yeah, maybe it's around 11 years.
Well,
it's a long time, 11 years. There's a few questions I want to ask. How do you actually control watering the farm?
Yeah, I think because it's not too big, yeah, as Quentin mentioned earlier, it's not too big. I'm just a smallholder farmer, so for the watering, I just let the rain drops to water the plants. So I don't use any other kind of technology in watering my plants.
Oh, all right. Sounds good. And may we know, have you ever experienced any harvesting failure or something, and how do you solve that problem?
Excuse me, can you repeat your questions? I don't hear you clearly.
Okay, so Mr. Arshad, have you ever experienced or faced the kind of harvesting failure, and how do you solve that situation?
Yeah, actually, in 11 years, sometimes the crops will fail to be harvested during the season because there are some insect that laid eggs on the leaves of my coffee, and then the fruit cannot be grow in the plant. So I failed in some years. Yeah, actually some bad things will happen in 11 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a good example. Yeah. But if I may, this 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 role play can show us that because we don't have time to make a preparation, you haven't make the what is it called? Quentina have to do what, and then Haris have to do what, and then Dini have to do what. So it's all blank for all of you, right? So the first thing you have to do, we can learn from this. The first thing you have to do, you have to make the preparation, and then also the what is it? The planning. Who do what? Who do this? Who do what? And
Yes.
then what is the questions?
Yes.
So you will make effective time spent. Yeah, you don't have to ask unnecessary questions, so it will be more effective, more efficient, and you can have your objectives on a short period of time.
Yes.
Yeah, just make it more conclusive, and then you can also decide which question is more effective than the others. So you can have you can get the information. You can get the information as well as what you want to have. For example, do you have any challenges, or do you have any obstacle for this crop season, things like that? So maybe you can dig more the information about what is the case study farmers challenges and also their obstacles they are facing. Yeah,
right, Mrs. Tonya.
That's a good
Yes.
example.
I do agree with you, Bu Tonya. So the most important thing is the preparations before doing the interview, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would like to explain to you that this will be related to the next session of agribusiness online class. So I think the form of the questions will be explained more in next season in the afternoon. So I think we just now focus, yeah, or just a role play, conduct a role play on how to opening and ending an interview first. Yeah, it's
so you can be more engaging.
Yeah. So
Because,
don't focus on the question.
Yeah, that's like the communication is some kind like an art. There's an art of a communication. So how you can engage with the interviewer or the interviewee? Interviewee, yeah. How they can give you, how you can make them willing to give you the information that you needed. Yeah, you have to engage with them.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Is there any other question?
Or is there anyone who wants to try to open a conversation with me and ending the interview?
Or maybe someone will give a suggestion.
Yeah.
What we should do better.
Yeah. Or maybe Quentin or Mrs. Ririt, you can play a role as a farmer. Yeah, what's coming in your mind? Just answering the
Miss
question.
Ririt, Mr. Arsyad.
Miss Ririt. I'm sorry.
She's still young, don't forget.
Yeah.
I'm 17 years old, Pak.
Okay.
Yeah. We always 17. Yeah. Yeah, please, Miss Ririt, maybe you can act as the
students,
or Mr. Ririt can choose any of the students here. Any of the students here as a case study farmer, and Queen can choose any of the students here as a student. And also Dini can also choose any other student here, to be a student also.
Yeah, someone.
Okay, the first one, Ririt, who would you choose? And because back then all girls, you can choose the boys here.
Hold on. Randomly? Is it randomly? Okay.
Randomly. Or maybe someone from your team, from your group.
Okay, Queen, who do you choose?
I think I would choose the new friend of mine from Philippines, Rustom. Are you ready?
Okay, Rustom. Rustom Rambanisio.
Hello, everyone. I'm
Hello.
Rustom J. Lambanisio from Tarlac
Hello.
Agricultural University.
You are from what? I'm sorry?
Tarlac Agricultural University.
Tarlac?
Yes, from the Philippines.
Yes, and Dini, Ririt?
Can I choose Raja?
Yes, of course. Raja, are you here? Can you hear
Raja Atira?
Raja Atira binti Raja Mazlan. Hello. You are as a case study farmer. Yes? For this role play. Okay, Rustom, Raja Atira, and then Dini, who will you choose?
I'm going to choose my group friend from Malaysia, Eric Ali.
Eric Ali.
Eric Ali, are you there?
Erika. Erika Lee.
Hello.
Okay, we cannot see you. Maybe something is in front of your camera. Blocking the view. Okay, it's okay, but can you open your mic?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Okay, we have with us here Erika Lee, Raja, and Rustom. Yeah, Erika, Raja, and Rustom. You can change the role. Who will be the case study farmer between Rustom, Raja, and Erika? Okay, So we can stick with the first condition. Yeah, Raja as the case study farmer, Erika and Rustom as the students. Okay, you can start.
Ma'am, I don't have video because the background is not, it's not.
It's okay, but we can hear you.
Okay. So Miss Raja is the farmer now. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So good day, Miss Raja. So I am Rustam Lambanisho from the group 2, and now we are conducting some case study about case study, and we are here to interview you, or we can ask some questions to you. So I am with my group mates, Erica Lee, and I heard that you have a farm. So may we ask some question about it, about the production, about the problems you have encountered or you are facing right now? So that's it.
Hello,
So
can you hear me?
yeah.
Sorry.
Raja, can you hear Rustom clearly?
Yes, but my line is unstable right now. I try to hear.
Okay, just try. Just try. Yeah. And Erika, don't forget also to introduce yourself to Raja.
So does she answer first or?
I think Raja have answered yes.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Ms. Raja, for answering that question. So my next question is, what does your farm do mainly?
You can just pretend, Raja.
Hi, Rustam and Erika. So recently, my family and I do maize integrated farming, which is we have maize and also we also have chicken. Yeah.
Okay. So among the stocks or among the commodities you're raising or planting like that, what commodity is more in demand, or that's it?
To answer your question, the commodity that in demand highly is chicken, because it's based on Sarawak, so the demand of chicken is high there.
Okay, thank you. Miss Erica, do you have a follow-up question?
So Ms. Raja, may I know, do you produce your own feed using the maize crop, or do you buy your feed for your chicken?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
So like you grow maize, right, in your farm?
Do you produce your own feed or do you buy it?
Okay. I'm sorry. We used to use our own to feed our chicken using the maize. So that when the maize is when we harvest the maize, so we divide it into two, which is for the first group we do to sell to others, and the other group we do to feed our chicken. so that we can get an organic chicken.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Rustom, Erika, and Raja. I think it's a good example, right? But more and more we are better. Everyone have their chances to give their question, but maybe because there's no plan before, so it's not structured good enough. The questions, it's okay because you don't have any plan before, but you know what to do now to be better, and you know what to do when you give your interview. Okay, is there any other question? And Mr. Willie or Mr. Arshad, what do you suggest? Do we need one more example? And Erika, Raja, and Rustom can choose. I think we need one more, yeah? The
I
last
think
one.
it's a good idea, yeah. So everyone can try to conduct an interview.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay, Raja, who would you choose? Don't forget the boys. It's only one here.
Can I choose Reikido Yoga?
I'm sorry, who is? Randy?
Reikido Yoga. She said Reikido Yoga.
I don't hear it clearly. Who is it? Reiki?
Ray.
It's me, ma'am. Ray Fido.
Oh, Ray Fido. Okay, Ray Fido. Rustom, who will you choose?
I'm going to choose one of my groupmates and friend, Miss Alfrista.
Alfrista, okay. Alfrista isn't here. Wow, Mr. Wahyu Budi, maybe you can, that is your student. Mr. Willie, Alfrista is not here. Someone else?
Okay, okay, wait,
Who is? Or maybe Erika? Who will you choose?
I'll choose Audi from my group.
Audi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Muhammad Audi. And Rustam, have you make your mind?
Yes, ma'am. It's I will choose Mr. Kevin Ray Rowayago.
Kevin Rayago. Kevin.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Kevin. We have Kevin, Audi, and Ray Fido. Okay, who will be the case study farmer? Kevin, Audi, and Ray Fido. I will give you 5 seconds to decide. 5, 4, 3.
Maybe I can be the case study farmer, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Kevin as the case study farmer, and Audi and Ray as the students. Okay, you can start.
Okay.
Ray and Audi, you can maybe make some planning. You can chat behind the screen.
Okay.
I mean in this screen, but as if it's behind the screen.
So the farmer will be Kevin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ray and Audi, do you want to make a plan before? As if we are behind the screen now. I'll give you 1 minute. No? We can jump into the action right away. Okay. We can start.
right now. I will go with the flow. So, good morning, Kevin. I'm Ray with my friend Audi. And first of all, thank you for the opportunity and your time. Me and my friend would like to ask you some question related to your farm. How long have you been attending this farm?
Okay, it's my pleasure to talk with you, Ray and Audi. Since I graduated from college, I ventured into business, agribusiness, and that was 4 years ago. So almost 4 years I've been doing farming.
In your early days, what are the challenge that you have faced during your cultivating process?
As a newbie to farming activities, it is a great challenge for me on how to start my operations since I am not good at farming because I have a little background on farming, and to start up a business uh, in relation to farming is one of my greatest obstacle. Of course, there are failures along the way, crop failures, and there are like what I have the pest infestation. Those were some of my failures or challenges as I ventured into agribusiness.
And you have mentioned earlier that you have a little background about regarding to farming, and what makes you passionate and what make you into the agriculture business? Is there any things that makes you want to do it?
My community is a farming community, and in addition to that, my family had a farmland, and I want to continue the legacy of my grandparents who tilled the land for a long time. Since I am the only boy in the family, except my father and my grandfather, I want to be I want to continue the legacy of tilling the land, and I want to help the community by employing farmers to help me in my farm to manage.
Kevin, may I ask some question?
Yes, you may.
During this pandemic, what's your problem during farming?
During the pandemic, the movement of people is limited. This includes transporting farm produce to the market. So because of that, the demand for the transportation cost increases. So farm produce also, the cost of farm produce also increase. And because of that, many consumers are not they are not they don't many consumers tend to disregard our produce because of the high price.
Yeah, Kevin, to solve the problem, what you do?
Maybe it's too detailed because Kevin is not the actual farmer, so he will be confused to answer that. But nice questions. You give questions more effective, and then also you insert the pandemic situation. What is the recent situation? That's a good questions. Yeah, we are doing better and better and better. I think that's a good example, not only for us, but also for the rest of the students. Is there any other question from the students? Will you give comments or no? Okay. Okay, I will give back the floor to Mr. Arsyad and Mr. Willy. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Tonya.
My pleasure.
So, everyone, we have learned a lot, yeah, about how to conduct an interview. Yeah, especially in how to build effective communication, and it is related to the previous presentation from Mrs. Nitya Indriana from Excel Axiata. So I think you should compile the materials presented by our lecturers and guest lecturers, so you can try to prepare an instrument or a question or a narrative opening and ending in conducting an interview properly. So, and I would like to remind you that you need to you need to make a resume or a summary from the material that was being presented by Mr. Willy. So in case you have another question, this is your opportunity to ask our lecturer here, or you may want to try to make a good opening, how to introduce yourself, or how to end the interview. Yeah, you may ask on this time. So, is there anyone?
Mr. Bayu, Mr. Bayu, Mr. Bayu, do you have any comments?
Mr. Bayu is actually on other meeting, so
oh yeah, really.
he did
Yes, of course.
a dual meeting.
Okay, Rustam, do you have a question? I'm sorry to disturb.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. So, sir, may I ask regarding the assignment that we are obliged to do? Sir, is it written in an essay type, or can we just make a bullet type of it?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Is it in a form of essay or just a bullet points?
Yeah.
Or maybe you can give them the minimum word.
Yeah.
Amount.
The assignment is approximately written in 1 page, and I have discussed it with Mr. Willy that we prefer you to describe it in words and narrative text, so not just a bullet point from the presentation, but yeah, I think you can put the points from the main topic of the subtopic, and then you can describe it with your own words, yeah, in 1 page approximately.
Do you have a minimum amount of word? Maybe 100 or 200?
Yeah, maybe 200 is enough, yeah.
Okay, so you can insert bullet points, but not all of it are bullet points. You have to make it in an essay also.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Willy, do you want to put your comment on this role play and motivate our participants here to conducting in an interview in with confidence and well prepared. Yeah, Mr. Willy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arshad, and thank you for all the role play participants. It's really good. And before an interview sessions, we should have good communication skills and effective communications, and do an interview session same as we do daily activities, but we have a purpose that should be finished with prepare the question, the equipment, now the situation in a good conditions. On another, understand more about the topic and knowing well about the interviewee will help make more easier to do an interview sessions. The interview is have to more practice, so it will be familiar and can do an interview as well as we can. Okay, that's all. Good to see you guys, and I hope you can understand what I explained before this. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry if I have a mistake during the explanations. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Willy.
Thank you, Mr. Willy.
Thank you all. We can have our break, and we will have another online class from Management of Agribusiness at 1 p.m. Indonesia time. It means because now it's 11 Indonesia time, so it means 2 hours from now. Okay, I have already sent you the Google Calendar schedule. Have you all realized that in your Google Calendar at your phone? Yeah, you can just click on the link and you will be connected. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Arshad, do you have any other announcement?
Yeah, I will remind you again. We have approximately 1 hour to finish your assignment. So put your best effort on the assignment, and then we will see you on the next session from MIB online class. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Prista, where have you been?
Hi, Miss Tonya.
Where have you
My
been?
connection was lost. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Don't forget to don't be late. I know you are here in the morning.
Yes, ma'am. Of course. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I really,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye. For the Management of Agribusiness students, don't be late because it is your session. Yeah, and be more active on the next session. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
Have a nice lunch.
Have a nice lunch and have a nice break. Thank you, Mr. Otang, Mr. Wahyu Budi Priyatna.
Terima kasih Pak Wahyu Budi, terima kasih Pak Bayu, Pak Ika, Pak Otang. Siapa lagi? Pak Dery, Bu Ayu.
Terima kasih Pak Bayu, Pak Budi.
Oh, Pak Bayu di kantor. Oke.
Saya di rumah. Ini lagi ngasih materi 7 Habits dulu ya. Sorry ya.
Oke, siap. Baik.
Thank you Bapak Ibu.
Saya stop recording ya.
Ya, terima kasih Bu Tonya.
Stop YouTube gimana ya? Oh, Pak Willy ya, Pak Willy.
Bu Meda kayaknya mungkin.